It's finally time for my first market of 2025, and today we're going to go through everything that I'm going to bring with me. If you're new here, hi, I'm Amanda, and I run Whimsy Pot Studio, where I make whimsical and nature-inspired ceramics. We're going to break up this video into 3 different sections: what I pack from the biggest to the smallest items, how I pack, including how I safely transport my ceramics, and how my car is packed, and lastly, how I mentally prepare for a market. Feel free to write things down, and I will try to have as many things linked down below that we talk about today. First, we're going to go through this bin here. I have a 20-quart bin, and this is where I keep all of my essential things that I might need either for the market table or for myself. Any small things kept all in here nice and neat. So I make ceramics, and in order to get my ceramics ready for a market table or for selling, I have to sand them and make sure they're nice and smooth. So I bring my sander and some extra sanding pads just in case I should find an extra rough spot on one of my pieces that I don't want someone to pick up or sell it that way. So just in case, I bring some small handheld sanding pads. Next thing in here is my pack of straws. I make straw tumblers, so I have these 5-inch straws that go in here. I have hand sanitizer. Dealing with money and cards all day long, I'm going to be eating or touching my phone, staying as hygienic as possible. I always bring a roll of twine with me. This is a new one that I just bought. I don't use it often, but sometimes I just need to secure something or tie it together, so I like to have it just in case. I always bring my stamps, a stamp pad, and my stickers. These go on my bags that I'm selling. I don't have branded bags yet. For me, at this point in time, they're not worth the cost, so I would rather just have a sticker with my brand on it that I add to the bags. I have some honeycomb paper. Before I put someone's piece in the bag, I always wrap it up with this. If it's a bulkier item, I might use the twine to tie it around the honeycomb wrapping so it doesn't come undone in the paper bag. I sell ceramic necklaces, so I always bring extra necklace chains and my jewelry tools just in case something were to happen, a chain were to break for some reason. Here's one of my latest ceramic charms that I made, this little cat guy, and I have them on this brass necklace chain, and they're super cute. I also bring jump rings with me just in case. Sometimes I like to add a jump ring to the necklaces too. I bring a box of flameless tea lights that just turn on. I sell these little cottages that you can put a real tea light in, or these fake ones in, or even an incense in. So I bring tea lights with me so I can display those. One of the tips I've learned from doing markets is that if you have a piece that has another element to it, like a tea light or a straw or a matcha bowl, you want to add that extra element because it, one, can describe to the person non-verbally what it is. If there's a bowl with a matcha whisk in it, then they'll probably assume that it is a matcha bowl. Or if there's a tea light in my little cottage, then they might get the idea that this might be for a tea light. It just also gives an extra element of interest and a little more visually appealing on the table. Next, I actually haven't opened this yet, but I recently bought the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I saw someone online have this magnetic holder for the Osmo that goes onto the canopy leg because it's a really strong magnet. And so hopefully it'll click onto my magnetic leg of my canopy, and then I will be able to use the buttons to turn it so I can get kind of like a wide angle of people coming in and out of my booth. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I will be having a market vlog coming up about this market, so hopefully you'll see some of this footage from this. I'm bringing some fairy lights. This is wrapped up, but it comes undone and it's very long, and sometimes I will wrap it around the displays of my table. Sometimes I'll put the fairy lights on the inside of a crate if the crate is upside down acting as a shelf, and you can see the lights through the little slots of the crate. I think for this weekend in particular, I will be unraveling this, turning it on, and putting it on the inside of my new dome. And hopefully we'll be able to see it through the crystal dome, but it will be pretty sunny that day, so it'll be trial and error. The next thing I'm bringing are some frames. I have this one frame that I made that was for a sale. I'm gonna bring it with some extra paper just in case I have a Sharpie with me in case for some reason I wanna make a last minute sale item, but I don't plan on it for this weekend. I have two signs in particular that I use that have Velcro on the back, and I have a crate that has Velcro on the other side as well, and that is how I display how you can pay and a QR code to my Instagram. On Canva, you can link your specific link that you're trying to use to a QR code and then print it out, and then people can just scan. This one's for Venmo and this is for my Instagram, and it works super, super well. I always bring zip ties. Normally I have different sizes, and that also is to help things from flying away. Sometimes I feel like I need to zip tie things to hold them down. I also have some ivy wrapped around my canopy right now that I've been using the zip ties to make sure they stay secured to that as well. Here's my Sharpie. Here's another kind of display item that I have. I have these faux mini grapes, and I'm going to display this in one of my berry bowls. I'm probably just gonna have one or two laying in here, kind of showing what it is. I have two different types of incense. I have cone incense and then the stick incense. I often have incense holders, and I think I have a couple right now, so I always have incense on me. I have a little bag of costume jewelry to, again, display on my jewelry holders. I have alcohol wipes. That can be a first aid thing or for cleaning off some spots on my ceramic. I have my business cards. I have a little holder for my business cards. That goes at the front of my table, and then I also keep a pile of business cards behind where my station is for wrapping up their items, and then I will slip my business card in the bag. In this bag, I have my thank you notes that go in each one of my bags for an item that sells. That gives a little coupon code for your next purchase, and it also gives some care instructions on how to be fragile in washing the ceramics. I also have in here my pricing little cards. Through trial and error, I have found a couple of things. One, someone like me who is incredibly anxious walking into a stranger's booth, because I love to go to these markets myself, I don't want to ask them how much something is. And if I think it might be just out of my price range because I don't even want to ask, or I just don't want to talk for some reason, I might not purchase something. And I think that is the psychology for some people, and just their anxiety or social anxiety. So I want to have my prices displayed for every item. What also I have found is not very effective is having a whole sheet or a sign with different prices on it for different things, because there is so much going on at a market in general or my market booth specifically. Their eyes aren't going to see that sign. And so through trial and error, I have had those signs. They still ask me almost every time, how much is this? I also don't prefer to put a sticker on the bottom of a piece because they are not assuming that the price is on the bottom. Like we might think, yeah, put it on the bottom so it's not visible, but they might not. Then they still ask me how much it is. And when things get really busy, they might be asking and interrupting another customer, and I'm busy, and there are some people who will just leave the booth because of that fear. And so I want everyone to be comfortable, and I want it to be very upfront what things cost. So I actually have these little stands, and I will put, all of these mugs that are $35 or whatever the case is, and I will put this sign right next to that group of things. So they're all $30, and 90% of the time, everyone gets the gist. To avoid those kinds of things, I really suggest having a very clear pricing right near your piece, and that's what's been working well for me. I have extra small stickers that I do price things once in a while. If I only have one of something, I won't put up this whole sign with the little stump. I will just put a sticker right at the front of the piece so no one has to flip it over to find out the piece. I still have some hand warmers in here. It is May right now, so I'm going to bring them just in case, but I don't believe I'll need them. I definitely need them for the winter. I have some extra Velcro circles just in case. I have some baby wipes, again, for cleanliness. I have a small first aid kit. I have some more little small display pieces. Sometimes I put my desk friends on here. I have exactly one candle to display my exactly one candlestick that I have. And I have a new thing. I bought myself a clipboard that opens up, and I have a pen in here because I don't yet have an email list. That sounds scary and hard, and having to communicate with hundreds of people sounds awful, but it would be a smart business move. So I went ahead and I printed myself from Staples some email sign-up sheets. And I printed 5. It says, join my mailing list. Hi, thank you for your interest in Whimsy Pots. By signing up for our email mailing list, you'll receive exclusive drop information, news, events, and special offers. I have no way of sending these emails yet. I have no format or template on receiving exclusive drop information, news, events, and special offers. However, I can compile emails and then I will get to that point. And then I will have the emails there. So this is actually going to go right into this clipboard. I will store it in here and hopefully people will sign up for something like that. I don't know. I'll have to tell you if anybody writes down their email for this in the market recap. By the way, all of these pricing sheets or these framed things, all the paper is laminated before I put them out. I also tend to bring bungee cords and clamps for my table. Again, just in case things are flying away or I need to strap down things to my wagon as I pull it around. Okay, let's talk money. I bring one big cash box and I have 1s, 5s, 10s, and just a few 20s. I hear a lot of people only do a combination of up to $50. I'm anxious, I need more cash than that, so I probably have like $150 to $200 in cash. I think that that's way too much, but I guess it really depends on what kind of market you're going to. I don't anticipate making more than $1,000 at this market, at most. So I think it's a little overkill, but to make myself feel better, that's probably what I'll be putting in, maybe around $150 in mostly 1s and 5s. In the cash box, to keep things tidy, I have 2 portable chargers, extra cables for those portable chargers. I have extra pens, and I have 2 different Square readers. If you sign up for Square, which is totally free, they'll actually send you a free Square reader as well that'll connect to your phone. If you don't have the right connection to your phone, you can buy an adapter, which is what I had to do. If you don't sign up for Square though, I think you can get them for $10 on Amazon. I eventually did buy the larger $50 Square reader that is the square like this, and it sits on your table, or you can get a little stand for it. I didn't do that, totally unnecessary. And you can do tap to pay with these from their phone or from their card. With the small card reader that goes into your phone, you can swipe it. And with the Square dock, you can insert their chip as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it. You can even input their card information number by number into the Square system as well. That is another thing. I use Square, so I have to go in and input every single one of my items and how much it costs. Often I'll just group it like, you know, booby mug, and then the cost. I won't input it for each different variation of it. I'll just say I have 5 booby mugs and then what each one of them costs. And then it does the tax for you. You ahead of time input what state you live in and what your tax is. And you can also input how much you received in cash or Venmo or PayPal or whatever other ways that you take payments. And those things will not be taxed. So it's just a way of kind of counting like all of your transactions, which I really, really love. So all I have to do after the market is go into Square. I've inputted all the cash transactions and all the Venmo transactions because personally, those are the 3 things I do. I do card through Square and I do cash and Venmo. Square will give you a report of all the sales you made, the specific item, and how much you made by different forms of payment. I'm bringing my cash box with me this time because I will have a partner with me. A friend of mine's coming, so she'll be able to watch the booth if I need to leave for any reason. But for any markets in the near future, I will probably get a fanny pack, and that's what I'll be keeping my cash in, just in case I need to leave the table. I don't want to leave my cash box there or have to lug a cash box to the bathroom or something. I will also be bringing my iPad Pro and my DJI camera, 2 different tripods, 1 tripod for my phone and 1 tripod for the camera. I also have a new mount for my iPad, so I will be able to use the square on my iPad and have it kind of propped up. I got it from IKEA. I feel like it kind of looks a little bit more professional, but it's totally unnecessary. It was really cheap because it's from IKEA, and I really like it. I think it looks super cute. And again, you'll see that in the market vlog coming up. Some other random things that I bring: towels for cleanups or if it's raining, scissors, a notebook for writing in, jotting ideas down, soap dispenser things for my soap dispensers, tablecloths, fabrics for draping, giving extra dimension. I have my 1 banner that goes over my table with my branding on it. I use a 10 by 10 white canopy. I got a white canopy because most of the markets I've actually been signing up for require a white canopy. I think it's so it's all aesthetically the same and there aren't any sore thumbs, I guess, so to speak. If there was like a bright blue canopy, I don't really know. I think that's a little dramatic, but they do look really fancy in their videos and pictures. So white 10 by 10, most markets again are 10 by 10, and with the rare occasion that it's an 8 by 8. I use 2 6-foot tables, so I have 2 6-foot tablecloths. I got the kind of tablecloth where it's open in the back because nobody sees the back of my tables, and it's a little bit easier for me to store things underneath. I probably will get some that also don't have that, just in case I'm at a market where you can see the back of my table so you don't see my bins underneath. But I do not recommend those stretchy ones that kind of stretch to the tables, if you know what I mean. A lot of people use them, but for personal reasons, I think that the flowy ones look better, but also I hear so much that putting the stretchy ones on the bottom of the feet of the table, 1, doesn't work with all tables, and 2, it can really hurt your back. And I have back problems. My back hurts right now sitting here with my bad posture. It can really just hurt you a little bit, and they tend to rip easier. So I'm not looking to purchase new tablecloths all the time. So I went for a flowier one. I just think they look really nice. And they go better with my banner because my banner lays on the table. So I don't think it would look as nice with the stretchy one. But totally personal preference. Besides my 2 tables, I also just invested in a new plant stand for all of my planters. I have hanging planters now and small and medium ones. So it has a rod for my hanging planters. So I'm really excited about that. This is the first market that I'll be using that at. I also am bringing lots of different weights. I actually have, I think, 12 different weights that I'm bringing. I have 2, 4, 6, I have 8 circular weights, and I believe they're 10 pounds each. And I also have the bagged sandbag weights that came with my canopy. You can just go to Home Depot and buy a bag of sand. It's very easy to do, and it only costs a few dollars for the bag of sand, and it'll fill all of your sandbags. So I think I have at least 25 to 30 pounds per leg of my canopy, and I think that's pretty standard. I know the market I'm doing this weekend is requiring 25 pounds per leg, and they're actually going to be checking as well. To put on my tables, I have all these different display items, and if you need some advice on getting some unique or cost-effective displays for your booth, if you're new or you just want some new ideas and something fresh, check out my last video where I went over how to get a unique booth at a really good cost. This is one of my display pieces. I'm not sure what type of material this is, but it holds my magnets. I got it from the thrift store. And then I tie it, with the twine actually. There's a use for my twine. I tie it to one of my crates so it stands up like this so people can take the magnets off. I have some new vase designs this year. So for my new vases and for these little guys, these are mini vases that go onto the fridge. I bought myself a bouquet of flowers so I can make some floral arrangements on the vases and in these little guys here. I did pick up some succulents for my small planters as well. Again, a nice little touch of color, and it's Mother's Day weekend, so who doesn't want to see a bunch of flowers on a market table in the spring for Mother's Day? I bring lots of bins. These are all display pieces that I kind of will be putting upside down like this to act as a shelf. And this one's taller, so there will be some tiered and dimension there. I kind of have a witchy and whimsical style, so I even have some spell books that I use to display on my table. I'll normally stack them up like this and put a piece on top that's kind of like a more witchier piece. People will ask me if this is for sale specifically, and this is not. This is only a display. This morning I made a new display piece for my desk friends. I bought this little bench from the thrift store, and I bought this grassy, mossy type of material, and I'm going to display my desk friends this way, just a few of them. So some of my best sellers I'll put in 2 different places. I have another larger display for my desk friends that'll display about 20 or 25 of them, and I'll put that on one side of the market table, but the closest spot to where people are walking by, I will put this. And since this is what's closest to people, this is normally what they see first, and that is one of the things that will bring them in, because everyone wants to look at these cute guys, and it just brings them right into the booth. So there are very simple ways to have eye-catching moments for your display. You just have to kind of think creatively, and we are creative people, so you can do that. I have a necklace display for my necklaces that I also got from IKEA, and it stands up on the table and it's really beautiful. It's one of my favorite pieces. I have lots of crates, lots of different unique things that just makes me a little bit different and stands out a little bit. Next, we're going to talk about how I safely pack my ceramics for transport to the market. To make sure everything arrives safely, I normally bring between $3,000 and $5,000 worth of stuff. I cannot have it break on the way there. This could work for you if you sell things like glass tumblers as well, or anything that's fragile. So the first thing that I get is this large bin. This is a 40-quart bin, and it has a high top on it, so it goes a little bit up. So if I wanted to, I could make 2 different levels and kind of stack things on top of each other. But I think I have 5 of these bins now, maybe even 6. And this is how I transport my items. The bins lay right on top of each other, nice and flat, so I stack them up in my car. And so far, nothing has broken, and it goes really well. But the way I do that is by cutting these foam pieces to lay perfectly into the bin. You can buy these big rolls of upholstery foam. This one is 1 inch by 24 by 72. So could you imagine when I take all this saran wrap off, it's just gonna explode in this room. And then I use some scissors and cut it down to fit the size of the bin. And I have a whole pile of these cardboard pieces that I cut up just from my own cardboard boxes that I've received in the mail. And this is what I do. So I lay the foam piece down here, and it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. And I put my piece in. I also make some thinner ones as well to go up the sides. And I will just put them close but not touching, and I will put this cardboard piece in between the piece so I can ensure that they do not knock into each other. And then I keep going. Just adding cardboard pieces anywhere that they could possibly touch. It looks totally ridiculous, I understand that, but it's so necessary. I am not going to have something break on the way there. Then I will just add some more foam where I feel like I need it so they don't bump up against the sides of the bin. It looks totally silly, but they're pretty safe in here, and this will stop some moving around happening and bumping into each other happening. And then I'll put the lid on top and then move to the next one and do that until all of my things are packed up. To bring my things to my booth table, I will always use a dolly. I'm able to pull my canopy with the canopy that I got. The bag that it goes in has wheels on it and some handles. So it's heavy, but it moves pretty well with the wheels. But with the wagon, I'm able to put at least 2 bins on top of each other in there, and then my crates or my other type of displays. And the reason I use the bungee cords is I can like clip onto these crates and secure it down in my wagon to make sure they don't fly all over the place. So I definitely recommend getting like 3 or 4 different bungee cords or some really long ones. After I have all of my stuff ready and gathered together, it's time to pack my car. I have a van, so I'm pretty lucky in the sense that I have definitely enough space, at least for now, unless things get scaled up even more. But right now I can fit everything in: my 2 tables, my canopy, my plant stand, all of my bins. It's definitely tight and I have to take out all the seats of my car besides the front seat and the passenger seat. But it fits really nicely and tightly packed. You don't want things moving around in the car. One thing I added to my canopy this year was some ivy, just for an extra touch of kind of who I am, what my business is like, what the vibe is like, and just to give it a little bit more personality and branding. And I think that's important for you to find, if you haven't already, like, what is your vibe for your business? What kinds of things does your business embody? What kinds of things does your business believe in? What does it look like? For me, my business is very naturey and witchy and whimsical, and so I need to add touches of that, touches of whimsy into my booth, not just my items. So my whole booth is really whimsical. One of the best compliments that I think I'll carry with me was actually my first market I ever did, when I was really nervous and really anxious and didn't know if I should even be doing this. Is this for me? Am I gonna like it? Is this a big waste of time? I just invested all this money. What the heck am I doing? And someone walked into my booth and said, "Wow, it's so whimsical in here." And I laughed at first, because haha, yes, my name is Whimsy Pots, but she didn't know that my name was Whimsy Pots because she hadn't seen my tablecloth yet, where I have that branded sign. And so I told her, yeah, Whimsy Pots, that's me. She went, "Wait, your name is Whimsy Pots? It actually is like supposed to be like whimsical?" And the fact that she said that without knowing that that is who I am was just really reassuring. And with that being my first market, I put that much effort into my first market, making sure that my booth and my table screamed who I was as a business. And I didn't have to do a lot of investment money-wise into doing that. It was very cheap, very simple things. I didn't have to invest in a lot of things. So don't feel like you have to wait to keep earning money from your sales in order to kind of brand your business. Make sure that's done from the beginning if you really want to have sales and have people connect with your brand, whatever that looks like for you. The last thing I want to talk about is how I am mentally preparing for this market and for really every market that I do. I'm slowly kind of creating this routine, and I kind of started doing it subconsciously, but now I'm noticing that I'm doing this and it's really helping. And so I'm going to make more of an effort to do it. As you may have gathered, I'm a very anxious person. I've said it multiple times. I'm very uncomfortable being perceived. I have a hard time socializing. I'm very introverted. And so it takes a lot of courage and preparation in order to even think about doing an in-person market like this, where it is assumed that, yes, I will be speaking to a lot of people. So the first thing I do is I actually have very small kind of scripts on what I say to someone when they walk into my booth, because otherwise I would just be like, when someone walks into my booth, I will typically, "Hey, how are you?" Very casual, right? I also overthink all of this. None of them are criticizing me, but I am way overthinking this, but that's okay. That's how my brain's working. And so I'm just going to work with that instead of ignoring it. I'm going to prepare myself and give myself things to say. They don't know that I'm going to say the same thing to them that I did to the other 20 people. They don't know that. I know that. It's okay. So they come in and I say, "Hey, how you doing? Good morning," whatever. And because I make fragile ceramics, people are often scared to pick things up. So unless it's a child who is alone, I will say, feel free to pick things up, to kind of give them that extra comfort and assurance that you can touch things, because I also want them to feel it in their hands and envision them using it and purchasing it. So I say, feel free to pick things up. I hand make all of my ceramics at my home studio. I was almost forgetting it because I haven't done a market since December. "Hey, how you doing? Feel free to pick things up. I hand make all of these ceramics at my home studio." And if they have follow-up questions, they will ask me and I will respond. But when there's the lull, that's when I don't know what to say. But I tend not to fill the void. I don't fill it. I just let it be. Unless they ask me questions after I've given my one sentence spiel, I kind of leave it at that. In order to avoid things getting awkward in those pauses of silence when customers are shopping in my booth, I always am doing something with my hands. So even if I'm pretending to do something on my iPad, or I actually am doing something on my iPad, or if I have something that I can work on, like something that I can glaze that's not too messy, I try not to bring clay and work on clay pieces because then there's clay all over my hands. But sometimes I will, if it's a slower point, I will take some clay out, and that's another reason why I have towels and baby wipes with me. But I might take one of my desk friends and underglaze them or do something like that. That way they don't feel a lot of pressure on them by me just kind of standing there. I am busy, so they feel a little bit more inclined to shop around without someone just kind of like staring at them. Unless they compliment something, I might give a response to that, maybe the inspiration that was behind it or why I love that piece. What I'm going to try this year is if someone's kind of looking at everything or they don't really know where to start and I can kind of visibly see that, I might say, these are my best sellers. I'm going to try that this year. For me, I've noticed that my best sellers are what's being looked at. But for someone who may not have looked at that yet, just to kind of open a conversation, I might start to say, these are my best sellers, and see how that goes. After those initial things, those people either leave the booth, they'll continue to talk to you and ask you questions, or it's time to package up an item that they're purchasing. So at that point, things are pretty much just transactional, and I'm very, very grateful to the people who purchase my things. So I'm very outwardly grateful to them. And I plan on how I will react to people who are kind of rude at my booth. That's only happened a couple times, and I have chosen the path of just kind of laughing at them. I have a very specific style of art, and so it's definitely not for everyone. And while it's not for everyone who's going to come to the market, some of those people make it very obvious that they don't like it by the facial expressions that they make or the weird comments that they say to their friends. And I know a lot of handmade artists get things like, why is this priced like this? Or how could you sell something so expensive? And when it comes to people like that, they're never going to understand how long it takes for us to make our handmade things. They must not be creative people, and their opinions are wrong and not our problem. So it's important to remember your worth. If you're not making sales, maybe you need to reevaluate your prices, but most likely it's just that somebody is misunderstanding, they're misinformed, and I have said things to them like, it's okay if it's not for you. Direct my attention to someone who is actually interested. If I say something to them at all, which often is ignoring, or I audibly chuckle at them in their direction, and it makes them uncomfortable and then they leave. Anyways, so that's how I handle all of my preparation for the small talk parts of my day. I definitely will decompress the next day, which happens to be Mother's Day for me this time. So that'll allow me some time to decompress and not socialize as much, because I will have completely socialized way too much for an introvert the day before. But also before the market, the few days before, which is right now for me, today is Wednesday and my market is on Saturday. I've been working really hard over the past couple weeks to do all of the prep work over the couple weeks before the market. That way it's not all just done on this week. So most of my pieces have been sanded already. I just have a few more things to sand. So many of my things are cleaned and ready to go and ready to be packed up. I do have to still clean out my car and put things into the car, but a lot of things are just ready to be put in. I have to update my square, which doesn't take too long. That'll take me about an hour or so to update all of those things, kind of re-put my inventory into square. So as a kindness to myself, I'm going to take a few weeks instead of 1 week of preparation, so I am not completely stressed out this week. I would really suggest kind of preparing over a couple of weeks instead of just one or just a few days, because it always ends up being a lot more things than I think I have to do. I have to go to Staples and get the papers that I've printed out because I don't have a quality printer right now, and it might not be enough things to order from Vistaprint. I have to sand and pack and make sure I've ordered all of my supplies like bags and honeycomb paper and stamps and stickers and my straws and my soap dispensers. I have to make sure I have enough of my things that I need for the market, and I give myself ample time in order to do that. That way this week I will have some rest time. So earlier this week I went for a walk in the creek with my kids and it was beautiful. It started raining and it was like magical and just a really perfect moment. I went and I got myself some fun snacks for myself for not just the market day, but for the week as well. So make sure you bring something fun to eat for the market, because even if you do have access to food there, you might be the only person there. You might not be able to go and grab food. It often takes a lot longer to get food than we anticipate because of how long the lines are. You can't leave your booth for 30 minutes to go get food unless you have someone with you. And even if you do have someone with you, they might not be so aware of your POS system or how you package things up, and they might just be there as a helper and not as an employee. So bring at least a couple of snacks and more water than you think you will need. In the summertime, I will be investing in a solar fan of some sort, but it's only May here. I don't need that quite yet. I really suggest just going as slow as you can this last week, because you would have prepared for the last few weeks ahead of time. And this is my only market for May, but in June I have 3 markets. So towards the end of May, I will be preparing for the markets in June. And then they're just kind of going to be back to back, like one weekend and then the next weekend. So I most likely will keep most of my things packed in my car besides my inventory. And the only thing I'll have to do is sand and get ready my new pieces that I will have made in time for these markets and pack those up, and then replenish my square system and just try to take care of your mental health during this time. These markets can be really stressful. You can put a lot of pressure on yourself, and just try to take it easy. I always have a financial goal going into it, but I try not to be too hard on myself because a lot of these markets I'm doing for the first time. Most of the time I try to go by 10 times what the booth fee is. And sometimes I make way more than that, and sometimes it's a little bit less than that. So you also have to be flexible in what you might be making. And that's just for your mental health's sake. I think I covered as much as I could think of. So if you have any questions down below, please let me know and I will try to answer them. The next video coming up will be my first market vlog. I've done markets before, but I never vlogged them. So hopefully I do a good job. Hopefully I film enough. I hope to bring my microphone and record the conversations and interactions. I have my stand for my DJI that will go onto my canopy. This is one of the things I'm nervous to do the filming in public. It will be obvious that I'm wearing a microphone. I'm nervous about that, but I'm gonna just try to remember that they don't care. They don't care what I'm doing. They might ask questions, but they don't care. It's just my fear of being perceived in any fashion at all. I hope you go and watch the market vlog when it comes out. Please let me know down below here if you want to see a recap of what I made financially at the market. I know some people do that and some people don't for different reasons. So let me know if you enjoy hearing what the revenue is for the businesses during their market. Good luck this market season. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.
Peace to your core. Live a life you